Hello everyone, welcome to Cyberscoop TV. I'm your managing editor, Greg Otto. We're coming to you live from the floor of the 2017 RSA conference. And I'm talking with independent security researcher Troy Hunt. Troy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Greg.
So, for anybody not familiar with the work that you do, explain your baby, your website.
So my website is Have I Been Pwned? And it's a data breach aggregation service. So when we see data breaches occur, such as LinkedIn, Dropbox last year, a lot of the time this data gets dumped publicly. It's available for just about anyone to go and download. So I aggregate the data and I make it searchable for people who are trying to assess where they have risk and exposure.
So your site tends to be more on the white hat hacker side. There are other sites out there that list breach information, including one that was rumored to be, it has disappeared. There are rumors that it might have been taken offline by the government, leaksource.com. I'd love to get your thoughts on what has happened with LeakSource and how cyber criminals are sort of taking that same information but looking to make a profit off of it.
Yeah, so the thing with LeakSource, and they're not the only ones who've done this, not the only ones who've disappeared as well, is that they were taking data similar to the breaches that I'd use for Have I Been Pwned, but making all the data available on the site. So not just email addresses, which is all I have, passwords, other personally identifiable info, other sensitive info, and they'd sell it. So you could go along and pay a few bucks and then you'd get access to anyone's information. Now, that was never really going to be a sustainable model because sooner or later you're going to upset either an individual enough or a company whose data you've got there enough that they're going to throw the book at you. Now, we don't know whether it was a company throwing the book or there's a lot of speculation that it was a law enforcement takedown. We don't know the details yet. All we know is that they disappeared late in Jan and that service is now gone. History shows us there'll be other ones that pop up and do the same thing, and they'll probably be gone sooner or later as well.
So how does the dark market factor into this? Because LeakSource, open on the public internet, but you're seeing a lot of this type of data also proliferate on the dark web too. So do you see anything like LeakSource and its competitors just vanishing from the public internet and using the dark net just as its primary marketplace?
Yeah, it's always a funny thing, you know, what is dark web, what is clear web, and I think what a lot of people don't understand to begin with is that the lines are so fine insofar as anyone can fire up a Tor browser and, you know, you're on the dark web.
Right.
I guess what was a little bit different with LeakSource is that they were running a business model which you would normally consider to be in the likes of, say, dark web trading sites, but they were running it in the clear, and by running it in the clear, they had the advantage of being very accessible by a broad range of people. They also had the disadvantage of being very easily identifiable, which may be what ultimately brought them undone. So I'm seeing an increasingly large amount of this sort of stuff happening on the clear web, and I think there's sort of an assumption by a lot of these people that we've done our OPSEC well enough that we can hide our identities and get away with what we're doing, but clearly that wasn't the case.
Right. So this conference, as we can see on the expo floor, there are tons of tools, and enterprises are going to want to pick tools that fit into their system. But what, from a governance and a strategy standpoint, can enterprises better do to make sure they don't end up on LeakSource or Have I Been Pwned or anything like that?
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things, and if we look at a case like, say, Sony Pictures, huge amount of data exfiltrated over a long period of time, about a year they were in that network, allegedly about a year. And you sort of say, look, so that enterprise didn't know that there was not only someone in the network, but someone accessing things that they wouldn't normally access, large amounts of data being exfiltrated in a fashion which is not consistent with normal behavior. And I think the interesting thing for enterprises now is to say, what ability do we have to identify anomalous activity by individuals? Now, that may not necessarily be a malicious individual in the organization, but they might be the pivot point in which an attacker is using their machine, accessing content under their identity, and sucking that data out. And now, do you know when that's happening, or will you only know once it turns up on Pastebin and torrents?
Right. Well, Troy, appreciate you stopping by today. Appreciate your insight. Thanks for talking with us.
Good on you. Thanks, Greg.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube channel, and for more information on the RSA conference and all things cybersecurity, check out cyberscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.